Welcome to the video. Before we begin, if not already, please take a moment to subscribe. It helps out the channel a lot. And click the bell icon to receive notifications when I upload. Comment your little heart out. And most of all, please enjoy. Now back to the video. I practically grew up with late night television. It started with Saturday Night Live, and then I discovered David Letterman, Johnny Carson, and eventually Conan O'Brien. Late night seemed to be able to get away with more risky stuff. The jokes were edgier, the skits were more insane, and sometimes you just want to chill watching a talk show host hold a baby bear. But just once, I would have loved to have seen an exorcism live on television.
Late Night with the Devil.
Night Owls with Jack Delroy is a fictional late-night talk show competing with Johnny Carson and Insomnia. The movie opens like a documentary about a particular broadcast on Halloween night, 1977. It tells us about Jack's rise to fame and gives us a little glimpse of what a show would have been like. And I have to say, several times watching this movie, I forgot I was watching a movie. It just felt like a real show. The live broadcast is spliced in with behind-the-scenes footage, which is in black and white so we can tell the difference. And it really fills in some of the blanks we'd be missing during the commercials. Jack's wife got sick and died. Then his ratings started to drop. This is Gus, Jack's co-host. His Ed, his Andy, and the show begins, Night Owls with Jack Delroy. They nailed the 70s television aesthetic, especially for this Halloween-themed episode. This was obviously made by people who were there or really did their research. First guest is Christo, a TV psychic. You know, the kind of phony, cold-reading performer. It's all very dramatic and at times desperate as he tries to hook a reading. I see the letter B. Is that a Bob? Bruce? Bam. Eventually, you'll hit one. He kind of seems to score one, but even that's explainable. And later on in the movie, it is. And then he loses his shit. He's getting hit with the name Minnie. It doesn't really seem to be part of the show. It's our first real indicator that something is going wrong tonight. Will somebody get him a glass of water? The next guest is a debunking ex-magician who really likes the sound of his own voice, Carmichael. He has an explanation for everything. Who hurt you? He pisses off Christo and he storms off. Jerry. Christo kind of gets back at him by vomiting all over the skeptic. Good. And then he gets taken away to the hospital. But anyway, the main guest is a parapsychologist, Dr. June Ross Mitchell, and her patient Lily, the sole survivor of a devil-worshipping cult. She's possessed, and Dr. June has been talking to the demon and put their conversations in a bestseller. Lily is creepy.
I think you're going to be very famous soon.
Christo died on the way to the hospital. Okay, I have to do my standard psychic dying joke. He did not see that coming. How many times have I used that one?
Is it really worth us continuing if this man is going to interrupt every time you ask a question?
Carmichael is being a dick about everything. I mean, shut up, man. It's not your show. To shut up the doubters, this guy, and maybe squeeze in some more ratings, they agree to hypnotize Lily on live TV for a little Q&A. Mainly exploit a demon for ratings. It's pretty frightening television, I would say, if I saw this live. Demon Insider is named Mr. Wiggles. Kind of lacks punch. But Lily's face changes and her chair even levitates. What is it with demons and making shit float? Mr. Wriggles also seems to already know Jack. Yeah. When you're famous, everybody tries to be your friend. But guess who still doubts it? In order to prove it was all a trick, Carmichael hypnotizes Gus into thinking he's full of worms. And he rips the worms out of his stomach. They're coming out of his face. It's really gross. But it was all fake.
Awake!
It was just a hallucination. Wait, this was a hallucination, but the camera caught it? When they play back the tape, there's no worms. So what were we watching? Were we hypnotized too? They play back Lily's session and it's really there. Carr is still skeptical and I think he needs to be slapped with a fish. He's kind of based on this real-life psychic who offered $1 million to anyone who could prove without a doubt the existence of the paranormal. He has yet to have given that money away. I kind of have a feeling that Carmichael is the same way and he really doesn't want to give up that check. But then shit really starts to go haywire. Mr. Wriggles comes out again and Lily gets a splitting headache. She kills Gus and the doctor. Okay, this part gets a little hokey. And Carr switches teams right away.
God about godliness. has to work different over 80.
He would jump in with giant space ants in a heartbeat. Next thing we see, Jack is in the studio. Things are weird. His skits are off. It's like a replay of a bad dream. Jack once met Mr. Wriggles when he made a deal for ratings and success.
Jack Delroy's greatest sacrifice is yet to come.
This would explain a few Hollywood success stories, wouldn't it? Jack made a deal for everything, which only cost him everything. Don't make deals with the devil, kids. He relives his wife's deathbed. Not cool, Beelzebub, not cool. And this time, he uses a dagger to relieve her pain. But the hallucination ends, and he's really stabbing Lily to death. Jack ultimately finished the job that cult started years ago.
After the break, the police perform You Have the Right to Remain Silent. Stay tuned.
And that was Late Night with the Devil. David Dastmalchian, I hope I said that right, is becoming more and more a favorite of mine. Jack feels like a real talk show host. The awkward banter, the interviewing, the desperation for ratings. The first 10 minutes is so complete and immersive, I forgot this was going to be a horror movie. Even with the twist of all this being Jack's fault, you can't even help but feel bad for him. The tone perfectly references the 70s. I remember shows like this. Merv Griffin, Phil Donahue, Dick Cavett. Yeah, I'm that old. With the commercial breaks, it just felt right. The behind-the-scenes segments fill in some more personal elements, world building, and even gives you more pieces without taking you out of the narrative. Mostly, more on that in a bit. The acting is excellent. David plays a wonderful show host with a darkness behind his eyes, like most show hosts.
You are not a bad man, Jack. You're not.
Gus made a perfect sidekick, and Carmichael, incredibly punchable. The premise is solid, the concept is solid, the performances sell it. That said, the story needs to fit in an hour-long TV program, so that leaves little room beyond what we saw. Possible opportunity missed. For a live television show, were there any effects on the TV audience? I also thought the lightning thing was kind of out of place. Is this a horror movie or X-Men? This movie has a particular premise with its own rules. A live broadcast and footage captured simultaneously. This leads to a reality the film is built upon. Two scenes cheat this. Gus's worms is a hallucination. It wasn't recorded, but we saw it live because they needed the audience to see what Gus was seeing. Otherwise, it would have looked silly. The second scene, the drug trip at the end, how can the audience be seeing this part? Now, I'm not exactly complaining. They add a lot to the movie, and we'd be missing a lot without them. But I'm just pointing out that, to me, they kind of violated the premise. Rather than a true broadcast, now we're watching a show within a movie. Maybe it's a dramatic recreation for the documentary. I don't know. Those two scenes tugged me out of the movie for a little bit. Hi, future me here. This whole point is I went in expecting a found footage movie, and when it turned out not to be that exactly, it took a lot for me to shake that notion. That's not a fault of the movie, rather my own expectations. I just had to adjust my thinking about the movie I was watching. It's not a true story, and ultimately, it is just a horror movie. But a good one. Late Night with the Devil is 4 Bs. A solid horror movie with a unique premise and a really interesting presentation. A couple of small things pulled me out of the movie, but all in all, still an enjoyable, tension-filled thrill ride. Hashtag Team Coco. Thank you so much for watching. Like, subscribe, comment the bell, you know, the usual YouTube stuff. This is theNewBee, and I'll see you later, kids. Toodles. That's the news, and I am out of here.